want to have a chat. I want to talk about something that's been heavy on my mind. I really want to say, in regards to me doing 7.2 and like some of the comments that I got, there's a thing that I really want to say about it. Basically, what I wanted to address is the question of why I'm still covering the FF14 story. Because I have had people ask me, like, oh, like, when I did this story, there were people that, oh, I thought you hate FF14. Like, I thought, like, why are you even playing this game if you don't like it? Because I've been critical. I've been pretty critical, and I feel like I need to discuss it a little bit for just, I think it might help if I share my point of view on it, just to help people understand where I'm coming from a little bit better. Because for me, it does, I thought pretty hard about how I can go about this because it does feel so personal. Like, this is a discussion that happens at a crossroads between where I am as a person, like in my inner self, and where I am as a YouTuber, like a content creator, particularly for FF14. I've had a really, really hard time with Dawn Trail throughout. Like, Dawn Trail's story has been a mess for me. And yes, unfortunately, unlike many who enjoyed 7.2 more, even 7.2 I had a hard time with. Even though there were some good things about it that I've covered in my first impressions that I did immediately after finishing it. My problem was that I still felt like it continued to have the Dawn Trail syndrome of the narrative inconsistencies, the problems with the world building, like Dawn Trail being Dawn Trail. I felt like it still frames this world in this sanitized, pure way. Like, too perfect. And I also felt that now not only are we not consistent with the past lore, but that I felt that it's not consistent with the new lore that they're building now. Like, it's inconsistent with itself. And of course, basically all the issues that I've covered already in Dawn Trail, like my deep dive video, the first one that I put out. And after 7.2, I've had some people suggest to me that I need to be more patient. But let me just say that people suggesting this are doing this in a very kind and a calm way. Like, nobody's being rude about it. And so I really have tried to reflect on this and ask myself that, like, should I be more patient? Could I be more patient? These people have said that 8.0 will fix the problems and patches can't. That basically I should not be as critical because patches can't solve everything. And I get where they're coming from with this. I agree. Like, I share this hope in a lot of ways, but here's where I stand on this. To me, the idea that things could improve a year or more from now doesn't shield the story from my criticism today. So, in spite of the hard time that I've had, I haven't unsubbed. I still show up to engage best I can. To me, that is being patient. That's patient. That's what patience means to me. It's care. Like, I don't want to be cruel. I don't want to be unreasonable. I just want to be present and honest with how I experience the story as it is unfolding before me. To me, that is how I show respect to the material and to the devs that worked really hard on it. I seriously doubt that the story team would want me to not pay attention because I think they're a lost cause. Like, that feels disrespectful to them. Like, I'm not going to do that. basically, if there's something that I took issue with, I'll share it. If there's something that I liked, I'll share it. I won't let it stop me from noticing things that I liked that are good. But I do know that I've had a more critical opinion on things than most. So I knew that my reaction would not be universally loved. But I just had to commit to saying how I really felt and being honest. So I do stand by it. But this feeling that maybe things will get better in 8.0 is, it kind of feels like you're asking me to not react until the story is over. But the story, it will never be over. It's a ongoing live service game. Like, we're supposed to react as we go because we're ongoing participants in it. It doesn't, you know what I mean? I also want to say that I think a lot of my approach and my feelings about this, like, why can't I just go easy on it and be more patient? I spend a lot of time introspecting on this, and I think it just stems from the way that I engage with storytelling as a person. Like, you said that you think that I've been giving more leniency to WoW while being more harsh on 14. And I think that these games, I've gone into them with different expectations because I engage with them with the expectations that they have already set. So WoW has improved its story a lot, but I mean, the War Within isn't Shadowbringers, but that's okay. Does that make sense? That might be why you're seeing a difference in the way that I approach, like the way that I've felt about the presentation for these different things. They're also fundamentally different games that tell their stories in extremely different ways. World of Warcraft is a game that has to tell a lot with very little words, and FF14 does things kind of the opposite way. So, I basically have been judging these worlds and these games by the standards that they have set and by the high bar that they have set, the highest bar that each one of them has set, which is, you know, a conglomeration of a lot of different feelings. Like, we come to WoW for not just story, but for gameplay, for class identity, for those kinds of things. But that's, before we get too off track, I just want to say, I don't think that my emotional honesty is a flaw. I do think it's very important to honor my reactions in the moment. That is how I approach life. I try to be present. I have really also made an effort to not rant. I don't want to rant. I don't want to throw a tantrum. I don't want to make demands that are unreasonable. I just want to hold the story accountable because I care about it. That's love. I mean, that's how I show love to it. To me, being critical isn't being disloyal. Being critical isn't the same as being unsupportive. It's involvement. It's me participating in the best way that I can. So when someone says, we'll just wait, it'll get better, I kind of feel like I'm being told that I don't belong in the conversation right now. Like, my standards are inconvenient, and maybe they are, but they're mine. And honestly, I've already lowered them more than I'm comfortable with in Dawn Trail. It's been a long road for me with FF14. I walk with these characters for 10 years. I've written fan fiction. I've made countless videos over the years. I've got the lore books. I studied them. I gave my whole heart to the world. So when people suggest that I'm being too harsh because of my constructive criticism, it kind of hurts. And that's not because I can't take criticism. Trust me, I've been on social media long enough that you know, I can handle it. But because it feels like they don't see where I'm coming from. Like, it's not a drive-by opinion. It's just, this is part of who I am. This is part of who I've always been. And when I engage with art, like music, games, stories, books, like for me, these are like portals to another world. That's how I find magic in this life. That's how I like tap into a sense of wonder. That's where I like, through that is how I feel like I can squeeze the juice out of life's lemon. You know? Like, I want to play a game that's worth a candle. I want to, like, fully immerse. And, I mean, yeah, sometimes I do, like, junk food type content, like, just fun stuff that I don't want to think too hard about. That's totally valid. That is valid. I do that sometimes. But FF14 has always been more than that. And, I know that I'm not even the only one who... FF14 is a game that, like, taught them that a game story can be more than what they thought. Like, Preach is an example of someone like that. It can be more than just a distraction. That this is something that can move you. And so, when people tell me to go easy on it or to, like, complain less or care less, it just kind of feels like I'm being asked to betray something beautiful that I loved in my own way. Maybe it's not the way that they loved it, and maybe they connected with it in a different way that's available to them that is no less valid than the way I connect. Okay. This is how I connect. And, it's a lot. I know that. I know that. But look, the whole reason I'm still here is because for so long, FF14 for me was always more than the sum of its parts. And I think this always shone through in my content. Like, it's this beautiful world that always felt so alive and it felt cohesive. It felt like it had these rules that are consistent. But lately, I'm struggling because I feel like the parts don't fit together. And without that, like, without all these different parts of the world building harmonizing like they used to, I feel like I can't hear the song anymore. Like, it's not... Story can be more than entertainment. And for me, 14 always was that. And, this is really why I've struggled so much with making videos for 14 for the past year or so. Well, it's not in me to give anything less than my full self. And my full self, I realized, is a lot. Okay, I'm starting to realize this. But right now, the only work I feel like I can do, the only, like, that I feel like is worth doing is these big, exhausting, deep dive videos where I try to unpack everything that I want you to understand from why I feel like it is tiring. It has been exhausting. But right now, that is the only way that I know how to make something that might matter. That's still gonna be honest. That's really, I don't know. I'm sad that things have come to this point. But, for me, I don't know. It's been devastating, really. To watch this story that I gave so much of myself to start to feel hollow. Especially when it used to, instead of a hollow, it used to feel like this space that was filled with meaning. Where we had a universe that would blossom out of the narrative that we were told. Like, creating this sort of living space. That, to me, that's the magic of an MMO. It's like a portal to another realm. That's what's cool about it. But lately I felt like I'm watching that door to that space close. And, at least for me. Maybe other people have other doorways in, but I'm telling you about my doorway. I really don't want to come at it with any bitterness though. I won't do that. I know I've seen comments of people saying like, you know, I thought you hated FF14. That's what they say during my stream. I thought you quit. First of all, I never quit. I never said that I quit. I would not do that because that would be a lie. And as you might notice, honesty is very important to me. That's kind of the whole point of this discussion. I certainly don't hate the game. I think that what you're seeing is somebody who cares a lot, maybe too much, for people's comfort, is how I'm starting to feel about it. I've been around a long time because I love the world so much, and that's why I see the change. I feel the changes so personally. So when I'm speaking critically about it, it's not from a place of hate. Like, hate can't sustain you that long. Hate is a short burning fuse. I do this maybe from grief a little bit, but also from hope and love. I do know that how uncomfortable it feels when someone is expressing disappointment in something that you enjoyed, something that you like as it is right now. Like, that's totally human, and I empathize with that, but I understand how me being honest can feel like an attack for some people, and I get why your reaction might be to push me away. But I'm still here because I haven't given up on it, and I still feel like it's worth engaging with, at least for a while longer. I don't know if you've ever felt let down by a story that used to mean a lot to you, but then, like, I don't know, new episodes came out or new movies came out or something, and you felt like it started to lose the magic for you. Maybe you know what that feels like. I don't want to invalidate how anyone else feels. That's really important to me. But I also want you to understand where I'm coming from and why I do it, why I'm like this. It's very, very much out of love and not hate. It's like, to me, that's the farthest thing from the truth. People have asked me to, like, if I think things can change, like, is there actually hope? And yeah, there is, of course. I do think it's possible. We have seen good signs from 7.2. I wasn't completely negative about 7.2. I enjoyed original Sphene, and I saw, you know, sparks of goodness here and there. So if 8.0 turns out to be a disaster, then that might be it for me. I don't know. But I think that they're going to have to do a lot of work to address the things that Dawntrail has done. Like, there's been some retcons. The integrity of the lore needs to be looked at. We need to make sure that the world feels grounded but lived in again. Where we have more flawed characters, where people have to make more difficult choices, impossible choices maybe, and there's more consequence for actions. I know that, I know another reason that I have hope is because, you know, I'm a WoW player too, and WoW fell off hard in 2015. Now it's back. Now I'm back because they're doing amazing work again, and that's a 20-year history that I have with WoW, and I never gave up hope. Not once. Not once. I never gave up hope. I never stopped cheering for WoW whenever they did something right.
Thoughts, keep up the good work. Awesome job.
I never outgrew that world. I always looked back with kindness. I never shat on WoW. I never did any of that. I always said that's like a childhood friend who's lost their way. That's what I said every time. it lost something, but it found it again in a new way. It is possible, but it does take intention, it takes care, and it takes a willingness to listen to people like me. Not only me, but another thing I've been asked. Oh, hold on a second. What was I saying? Hold on a minute. Okay. I was getting a phone call. Another question that people sometimes have been asking me is if it's just that I'm changing, that I've changed, that I'm outgrowing it or something, but let me actually tell you a story. Let me tell you a story. As a child, I had a very strong attachment to Ocarina of Time. And it's a game that I found incredible comfort in. I played over and over and over, and I'd wanted to live and breathe in it. I think that maybe this is part of the impulse that drive my interest in MMOs later on. I would like just log into the game, log in, load it up, whatever. Load it up. As a kid, I would go sit in places, like I would go to the Forest Temple and just sit there and listen, or I would go to the one of my favorite places was the windmill in Kakariko Village. I don't even know if that's the right pronunciation, but whatever, you know what I'm talking about. I would just sit in there and like vibe. And just yesterday I was thinking about the Song of Storms again. I think it's because I was working on writing something and it popped up in my head, and I went on YouTube and I did the same thing that I did as a child, which was I pulled up like footage of somebody in the windmill, and I sat there and I like the windmill spinning and I listened to the song and the rain's falling, and you know, I actually felt the exact same sense of wonder and peace as I did when I'd often go there as a child. I'll tell you that as a child I had a lot of times where I was very scared, and it was a place that I could go to feel peace, like a refuge. And what's wild too about this, and this experience that I had again yesterday listening again, was that the windmill itself actually introduces a time loop, if you know anything about Ocarina of Time, where child Link and adult Link have a time loop. And I felt like I also had a time loop going on there. Like, I was meeting my past self and we were sharing something across time. And so what I think that if done right, a game can create some timeless moments. And FF14 has done that for me too. Like, it's been a long journey with this game. Every time I hear tomorrow, or I hear flow, I'm taken right back to those same feelings, like those same beautiful moments. Like, it still works. So that tells me that there's still a lot of, you know, the feelings are all, they're there. They're all still here. It, actually, this is kind of interesting on the subject. As a counterpoint, maybe, I played vanilla, as you know, a lot back in the day, and then I wasn't interested in classic. And I think it's because I'm not that interested in nostalgia for its own sake. Like, with classic, it felt like it was something that I already did. So what's the point of just repeating it? To me, that feels like trying to chew on gum that already had all the flavor chewed out of it. But then why do I feel so differently about the Song of Storms? I think that sometimes nostalgia is repetition, but there's something different for me when it comes to meaningful nostalgia. Like, I think there's a difference between nostalgia that's like a straight line pointing straight back, and the kind that's more of a loop that has continuity to it. Like something that connects my past self to my present self in a way that feels alive today, just like it did then. It's the emotion, yeah. It's the emotion. I think it's like you're reactivating something in you that is still true through the portal that is the medium. I think classic hardcore did catch my attention though, because it offered something new and exciting, but it still honored a lot of the things that I loved about the original. And as for Retail WoW today, I'm really enjoying it. It's awesome. We're having a really good time. I look forward to playing every day. And, you know, we're having this discussion in the context of the question, which was, did I outgrow something? Like, are we changing the point we're outgrowing things? But when I think about Retail WoW and my 20-year history with it, I haven't changed to fit it. I think it's evolving in a way that doesn't make me feel left behind. Like, I'm still looking for the same things as always, which is like connection, depth, trying to tap into some kind of a meaning, and within the framework of what I think I would expect from that game. That's an important detail here, too. Within the framework of the world that I know and the expectations that they have set. That is why I approach something like WoW different than I would approach something like FF14, and different the way I would approach something like Genshin Impact, and different the way I'd approach something like Elden Ring. I apply different standards because I see the uniqueness and the value that each thing offers. And so that it would make no sense to me as a person who's engaging deeply to try to have some kind of overarching generalization rules. Oh, it's got to be this. I don't do things that way. Everything is special and beautiful in my eyes. It has its own criteria that fit it. Okay, you understand what I mean? Like, when I tell you that I go full ass on things, this is what I'm trying to describe to you. All the way. Yeah, flow kills me every time. In terms of what I think I would like to see in 8.0, I think it's probably good to think about solutions and the future. It's probably important to consider this. I think what I really need to see in the future from FF14, based on the criteria that that game has set for itself, is better world building, consistent rules, flawed characters, flawed settings, people who are making mistakes, people who make horrible choices, people who do questionable things that have real consequences. Like, I need to have the game to have a stable rule set. I don't want to feel like the world is always shifting to suit the plot, that everything's always happening because it's narratively convenient. Obviously, a story has to have some narrative convenience, but a good writer should be able to mask that. That's what I've covered in my video at length, and I'm going to be covering more in the next video. That's the difficulty of writing. That's really the struggle that you have, because things need to happen to serve the plot. But if you always make it so obvious, well, where's the game? I think that, and this, a lot of times people will say, you know what? You need to just stop questioning everything you see. And You're right. Yeah. No shit. Yes. Yes. But the problem is, this is the thing we agree on, but problem is people telling me to do that. You're telling me to do that now. But I can't. Because the game needs to give me the reason. That's the trust. That's the trust that I need from the game. I can't just say, okay, I'll stop. When I need to sense that the world is stable, that everything makes sense. Like most things make sense. I'm willing to suspend disbelief. I'm willing to suspend disbelief. I'll give you an example from 7.2. Original Sphene goes to Starbucks and she goes 3 feet away from the face of the barista, and she's supposed to be incognito. The barista does not recognize who she is, even though everyone has had close-up experiences with Sphene. And I say, this is weird. And everyone's like, oh, well, it's because she has a hood on. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I could recognize you. I could recognize you with a hood. I could probably recognize you with a hood on. It's not like Clark Kent glasses. Like, do you guys recognize me now? No? Do you still think it's me or not? And I said, okay, well, maybe it's a suspension of disbelief. And then Sphene goes to sit down in Starbucks. And some random kid's like, oh, Sphene, hey, what's up? And I'm like, and then it gets worse. Then the dad shows up right behind the kid. And the dad's like, sorry, ma'am, I didn't mean to bother you. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. We talk about things that make sense, stable rules that are consistent. So now we know a child can see and recognize, but 2 other adults can't. This is stupid. This is what I'm talking about. Okay. I want to stop questioning what I'm seeing. But the story needs to help me with that. I don't want to question. I just want to feel. I want to be there. I don't want to force myself to suspend disbelief as a conscious thing. I just want to be carried away with the story. The story has to earn my trust back. That's the reality I'm trying to tell you. I want to slip into the immersion naturally without forcing it. I want to believe what I'm seeing. I don't want to be skeptical. I don't want to have to fight being skeptical. This is how it's always been for me in every expansion before this one. And of course, there have been times where things happen where I raise an eyebrow, but I just let it slide because whatever, it's a great story. This is just too much, though. They need to earn my emotional response, earn my trust. I need to feel like the world feels solid under my feet. And here's the thing that we keep returning to. It might feel solid under your feet. It doesn't feel solid under mine. And that's because we walk differently. Our paths are different. That's why I wouldn't tell you that you're wrong if you feel it is stable, because you're walking in a different path. And I respect that. I think it's crazy to assume someone else should walk the same path as me. But the role of the developer would be to look at how many people make it to their destination on the paths that they walk. The intended destination, which I assume is caring, enjoying, loving. I will say that there are good things happening since this new patch. the raid story I loved, even though I did actually set aside a lot of my suspension of I did set aside a lot of my concerns about the world just so I could enjoy the damn story. I did that. Enjoy it the most I could. The raid battles are absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
OG Sphene is a character that I really, really, really like. She's compelling, even though I felt like a lot of times she was like a jewel. And things around her were just a mess. I'm happy about her. I'm very happy about her being added. But anyway, I think I've rambled for a very long time. And I don't think I have a whole lot more to say. I do think it's... I just wanted to help people understand maybe why I'm like this. I want you to know that I've heard you, like I've listened to you. And I've really tried to... I've thought about why I can't implement the suggestions that you've offered. At least not yet. Right now, the best that I can do for you is be honest and as kind as possible. That's what I can do.